Yo, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing, man? Today, I wanted to come to y'all and talk to y'all about tax liens and tax deeds, since East Alabama Real Estate Co-op will be primarily selling or buying tax deeds and tax liens. So I wanted to give you a brief overview. Disclaimer, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not an attorney or a tax professional. So any information that I give y'all is just purely for education. Y'all have to do, y'all have to reach out to a lawyer or a CPA or, some type of tax professional to do your due diligence and also to get advice. But so a lien is just a judgment against a property, and that could be a multitude of things. Like someone can take out a loan on their house, and then the mortgage lender has a lien on their property. If you don't pay your taxes, the state or the county will put a lien on your property. You can do liens on your property if you're gonna sell your house, but you're doing owner finance. You can put a lien on that property, so that way that person won't get possession of the property until they pay you off. So a lien is just a judgment against the house, and it can be done by a multitude of different people. But the primary way that a property becomes a tax lien is that someone doesn't pay the property taxes on it. So they owe property taxes you have to pay every single year. Sometimes people don't pay their property taxes. So the state or the county is going to notify the individual that, hey, your property taxes are coming up, you need to pay them. And then if they don't pay, they're going to send them a letter saying like, hey, you didn't pay your property taxes, they're now late. You need to pay your property taxes. If they don't pay them again, they're going to let them know like, hey, your property is about to come up for auction at the tax sale auction. And they send them a letter so these people know this. And then, it goes to the tax sale auction. If an investor like myself or you all buys it, then you have to, in Alabama, every state is different. So in Alabama, you have to wait 3 years before it becomes a deed. So that person who lost out on their property, they have 3 years to try to get their property back before it's deeded over to you. So, so either it's bought by an investor, which is, me or you, or it's bought by, if it doesn't sell at the tax sale auction, it's bought by the state. So, the primary way that people get tax liens is by going to the tax sale auction and actually bidding on them. This year, I think almost every county is going to be bidding down interest. So on a normal, tax sale, maybe, after fees and everything, the tax, it might go for, $150 at the tax sale auction or whatever. And then, you bid and other people bid or whatever, $160 or whatever, and then you just bid on it. Like that was how they used to do it. So in most counties, starting this year and some started last year, they're going to be bidding down the interest rate. So when you buy a tax lien, you get 12 in Alabama. Every state is different for the redemption period and the interest rate amount. But in Alabama, it's 12% interest. So if I have $100, property, or I pay $100 for this tax lien or whatever like that, and I hold it for a year, and then after the first year, the person wants to come back and redeem it. They want to go ahead and pay everything off. They have to pay back that whole amount, $100 plus 12% interest. So it'd be $12 in this case. So you'll get back $112 on your money. So you can see that the more expensive that the property is, then the more interest, the more money you're going to get back in interest. So, so for this year, most counties are doing it where they're going to bid down the interest. So the interest is going to start at 12%, and then people are going to, bid it down, and until it gets to zero. And then if it gets to zero, then, all the people who bid on zero, they're going to basically put your name in a hat or in a draw, and then they're going to draw a name, and then the person whose name gets drawn gets the property, which sucks. I like the, bidding up the price of it, but a lot of counties have switched over to bidding down the interest. So I don't like that, but just be prepared for that. So if you do go to the tax sale auction this year in most counties in Alabama, you won't be bidding up on the price. You'll be bidding down on the interest. So keep that in mind when you go out there, if you go out there. Another thing, the redemption period. So, like I said, Alabama is 3 years. Some states are 6 months. Some states, the highest is 3 years. So, Alabama is one of the longest states for the redemption period. That just means that after you buy the tax lien, that person has from whenever the date you bought it, they have 3 years. You have 3 calendar years to try to get it back. So they'd have to go down to the county, send in an affidavit, ask them the redemption request. They'll send it over to you. You sign it, get it notarized, send it back, and then if they decide to redeem it, then the county will send you a check in the mail and a confirmation receipt. So yeah, they have 3 years to do that. So there's multiple ways to approach your tax liens. If you don't want to wait those, I like the 3 years because, like as I'm holding it, I can do some repairs to it. And if you do some repairs, if you upgrade it, update it or something, and then they want to come back and redeem it, then they have to pay you for those upgrades or those updates. So, you can put a door on it, you can put some windows in, redo the floor, whatever it may be. They have to pay you for that. So, plus on top of the interest and on top of the money that you initially paid for the tax lien. So, you can get a decent tax lien, and I always say get ones that you don't mind, taking possession of if they don't get redeemed. So don't just go buy like some crappy piece of land and then hoping that it gets redeemed. Nobody redeems it, and then you're stuck with a crappy piece of land. And then it might turn into you don't pay taxes on it, then somebody buys it from you, and then the cycle keeps going. So I would always say, because you can research them before you buy them. You know what I'm saying? Like the lists come out in the counties before normally like a month. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes less in other counties, sometimes a couple weeks, but a couple weeks to a month before the tax auction actually happens. A lot of times they release it in their local newspaper, or if your county has like an updated website, then a lot of times they'll release it on the website. Some counties don't have the best website, so it'll be in the local paper. But if not, then it'll be on the website. So definitely check up there. But yeah, you get those or whatever like that. You do your due diligence on them. I would always say get ones that you don't mind them not being redeemed. So that way, if you are stuck with it, then there's something that you can do with it. You won't just be like, oh man, I'm stuck with this crappy property. So yeah, that's the majority for the tax liens. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, so when you're approaching it as well, you can also try to reach out to the homeowner. Like during those 3 years or whatever like that, you can always reach out to them and just be like, hey, look, you might not be trying to pay the back taxes on it or whatever like that. How about, are you interested in selling it? And you can do this a lot of times before it even goes up for, like, once you get the list 2 weeks out or a month out before the tax auction, you can reach out to these people and, you can either being a good Samaritan or helping yourself out, so you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it, there's the same thing, but you can look at it either way, because you helping yourself out by, you can reach out to them ahead of time before the tax auction and be like, hey, your taxes are, your property is on the tax sale auction list. I would say it a different way, but essentially your property is on the tax sale auction list. Would you be willing to sell it? Are you interested in selling your property? Sometimes that will just be a good Samaritan thing, because they'll be like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, blah, 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 and then they'll go and pay it. So you'll miss out on that. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I'm definitely looking to buy that. I'm definitely looking to sell that. So you can work it out. So like the tax lien that I did, I have one in Anniston, I have one in Birmingham, I have one in Atala, and I also have one in Florence. And the one I got in Birmingham, I actually was able to reach out to the owner beforehand, before the tax auction, and I was actually able to work out something with them, because it was a dilapidated house anyway, and they didn't have an interest in keeping it. They hadn't even been, like a lot of people you'll find are absentee owners. A lot of people are in other states or out of town or whatever like that. Their grandparents or their dad or whatever left them the property or whatever. They never even been to it, or they haven't been to it since they were kids or whatever. They don't care about it. So a lot of times you can find those people and work something out with them, because they're not going to do anything with it anyway. But yeah, that's the gist of tax liens. So after the 3 year period, then all those tax liens turn into a tax deed. So once it becomes a deed, then you essentially own that house. Now, again, I would reach out to a tax attorney or a CPA or somebody who knows the tax laws in your area. But a lot of times, like, there's really nothing, like, people can come back and try to, after the 3-year mark, and try to, file a suit or try to do something to get their property back. But as long as you have, like, documentation of, you buying this tax lien or this, and it converted into a deed, and you took possession of it, which means, you went to the house. If it didn't have a door, put a door on it, put some windows, if the windows were busted out, made it so that way it was secure. You have evidence of that and paying, people to do that, doing it, or, receipts of you buying the material and doing it yourself. I mean, I'm not going to never say never, but a lot of times, like, the judge won't, rule in their favor, they'll rule in yours. So, just know that. But they can come back after the 3-year mark and potentially try to get their property back. But I don't see that often, but it can happen, so be wary of that. But after the 3-year mark, then it's, essentially your property, and you own it. But I would always, even before purchasing a tax lien or a deed, I would always try to get a title search. A lot of times it's between $100 to $200. You can go to your local paralegal, or you can go to an attorney or a title company in your area, depending on what you have, and you can get a title search. I would get the title search because it's going to save you some time. Like, you're going to end up finding out ahead of time, like, okay, like, there's a lien, there's another judgment against this property by blah 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 LLC, or there's one by Bank of America has a lien against this property, or the state has a whole nother lien against this property, or John Smith has a lien against it. You'll just find out so much stuff, you know what I'm saying, like, by getting the title search. And you can do that on the front or the back end. I always say, cover your ass on the front end so you won't have to do it on the back end, but you can do it on either or. But I would definitely get a title search. I would suggest getting a title search, so that way you can see, like, if the title is cloudy, so that when it does become a deed, or if you're buying a deed, you'll know that this lien that is going to become a deed in 3 years, or this deed that I'm buying right now, is, I can go ahead and resell it. I can go ahead and move into it. I can go ahead and fix it up and flip it, or do whatever I want to do with it, and not have to worry about a lender or somebody coming down later on and trying to make claims to this property. So getting the title search, and then it just depends, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's $1,000 property, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if it's, $1,000 property, or, under $10,000, I'm not saying don't get title insurance, but I'm saying, like, you'll figure it out. Once you see how much title insurance is, you'll see if that's worth, you paying that to cover this property, in terms of value. So you'll see for yourself. But title insurance is definitely helpful. It's definitely a good idea for most properties, if not all. But it might not fit everybody's situation. So look into that, and you have to make that determination for yourself. But yeah, I got started in tax deeds. I started doing real estate in 2016 from Bigger Pockets. I found out about Bigger Pockets, and I found out about tax liens and deeds, and just like everybody else, I wanted to do fix and flips and wholesaling and everything else. But you can do whatever works best for you. I just found out what works best for me, and it's tax liens and deeds. Like, that's my bread and butter. That's what I make good money off of. That's what I'm good at doing, and that's what I've been successful in, the most out of real estate. So that's my niche. That's my bread and butter. But yeah, definitely, again, so happy to announce, East Alabama Real Estate Co-op with Johnny's Wise, Darius Brown, Albert Johnson, man. And we're going to have, a lot of tax liens and tax deeds available for y'all, a few single families, and, just information. We definitely want to be giving out information. So, yeah, if y'all have any questions, just hit us up, like the post, share it, and, drop your comments and give us feedback. Thank y'all for everything, man, and y'all have a good one.